Happy Saturday, everybody. Today on Instagram Live, we're talking about in-office procedures versus at-home treatments. So I'll let you guys start coming on. I hope you're all having a great day. If you missed that live show that I did yesterday on Softwave in Dr. Mark Monty's office, you're gonna wanna go back and check that out because I'm feeling very tight today, I must say. So something is working. Hi everybody, hi Stacy, hello. So today's show is all about in-office procedures versus at-home treatments. I'm getting a little bit of mushroom coffee in here, trying to fuel up. For those of you who saw the Instagram Live I did yesterday with Nurse Karen at Dr. Monty's office, that was all about Softwave. And I'm gonna go over some of that stuff with you. But also, you guys, there's so many cutting edge things that are coming out that you can do in office. Now, you guys know me, I am the queen of self-care at home because, you know, we could spend a ton of money on this stuff or we could do it strategically. And there's some things that, yeah, that's right, Joe. I'm having my Rise coffee. But there are some things that we can do at home that can take the place of many of the things that people are doing in office. And then there's some things that you can do in the office. It's like, there's no freaking way you're going to get those results with a mask at home. It's just not going to happen. So I wanted to kind of go over that stuff with you guys. Hold on one sec. I need to fuel up because I'm going to be talking for a little bit here. If you missed yesterday's show, now I'm going to say this, I'm going to have to say this many times, so I apologize for those of you that are going to be on here for the full hour, but if you missed yesterday's show, what you can do is when I post this to my main feed, comment the word live. It will give you some of my top live shows that I've done, but it will include the Softwave live show. And that was the one that I did in office yesterday. Nurse Karen did a full treatment on me on the Softwave, which is ultrasound. We've not talked about ultrasound before, but it's ultrasound technology for skin lifting. Okay, so this is non-surgical. I just had it done yesterday. There's not one mark on my face. Does my skin feel a little tighter? It does, but that's not even, we're not even at the point where the collagen is being produced, right? We stimulated it yesterday, but we still have to do the production of it. So we're not even close to the full result on the Softwave. But I have gotten a lot of questions concerning laser masks at home, concerning microneedling at home versus in office. Some of these type of microcurrent facials that are done in office versus at home. And we're going to get to the bottom of it. Like, what should you stop? I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. What should you stop wasting your money on when you're going in for a treatment? And can you do all this stuff at home for much, much cheaper? So that's what today's show is. If you know anybody who is obsessed with skincare gadgets or is always looking to improve their skin, hit that little send button and send them this live show so that they can learn right along with you guys. I always try to do as much stuff as home as possible, right? So I do, I'm gonna bring you guys with me. For those of you who do not have my calendar, right? This skincare protocol calendar. Let's see how much battery I have. I think I can plug you guys for a bit. If you do not have this skincare calendar, which shows you how I incorporate all of these things at home, in my 50s, I started doing this stuff. I want to say I really kind of switched over from in office to a lot of stuff at home during the pandemic because I refused to like give up on all my skincare stuff. So I really started looking at all the skincare gadgets, but I've been doing things like red light therapy at home for, I want to say a decade. When these devices first started coming out is when I started incorporating them into my own skincare routine. If you don't have this free skincare protocol gadget, this is all the gadgets that I incorporate at home in a weekly basis where I'm not spending a ton of time on it, but it's strategic, it's in front of my face, and I'm doing it consistently, okay? That is the key when you're talking about at-home gadgets. Consistency is so important, okay? You can go in and get, like I did yesterday, a Softwave treatment, and you can do that a couple of times a year. But if you're relying on at-home devices to do this same thing for you, you've got to be consistent with this. So this is a free calendar that I devised a couple years ago that helps me incorporate all the at-home skincare gadgets in a weekly schedule where I'm not exhausting my skin, but yet I'm creating a wave of collagen production that gets my skin functioning like it did when it was in its 20s. And at almost 57, that's a lot. There's a lot of stuff that we can do that can get our skin functioning better, right? We go to the gym, we lift weights, we're getting our muscles and our metabolism functioning better. Why aren't we doing the same thing for our skin? So just like we lose muscle mass in our mid-30s, our collagen starts dipping in our mid-20s. And that's because our muscular skeletal frame is already done growing, right? So when it's done growing, our collagen starts dipping. Remember, our collagen is that structural support. Rosie, I'm going to get to that in 1 second. Our collagen is that structural support of all, that makes up our bodies. In plants, it's fiber, and in animals, it's collagen. So that collagen starts dipping, and this calendar that I created that incorporates red light therapy, microcurrent, radiofrequency, all this stuff at home in an easy to follow weekly calendar. You can get this for free on liveyounglifestyle.com. The other way you can get this is when I'm done with this live show, you can comment the word protocol and it will go directly to your DMs. The easiest way to get it, and the easiest way to get all of the free guidebooks and protocols that I talk about, is on liveyounglifestyle.com. That's the easiest way. Okay, here we go. We're talking about yesterday, what happened. So listen, not everybody has the same amount of time or effort they want to put into their skincare, or money they want to put into their skincare. And I just saw a post from Khloe Kardashian where she did Softwave on her entire body. So face, neck, chest, entire body. And I think if you've got money to burn, why not? But if you don't have time and money to burn, let me just talk you through what are great things to do in office and what are things that you can do at home and save yourself a ton of money. Okay, so here's a sneak peek at kind of like what we're gonna cover. We're gonna talk about Softwave, which I just did yesterday. I'm gonna give you some before and after results that have been approved by the company and by Karen, Nurse Karen, who did my treatment yesterday. So these are real clients that we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about Tixel, which I'm gonna do on Friday. So Tixel is a different in-office procedure that we're gonna do on Friday. I'm gonna cover that. We're gonna talk about things like Sculptra and radiofrequency and those kind of things as well. But first, let's start with Softwave. If you guys missed this show that I did yesterday with Nurse Karen, you'll see that Softwave is a very different type of technology that is now available. And this is what I think it was Brian Johnson who just recently did a post about this, and the Kardashians are all crazy about it. Let me tell you why. Because I could feel a difference hours after this treatment was done. I've never felt anything like that before. And I've had Morpheus8 done. I've had multiple CO2 lasers, peels. Listen, I've been on the planet for a long time. I'll be 57 in a couple of weeks. So I've been at this for a little while. But this is very different. And what this uses is it uses ultrasound. So this is not radio frequency. It's not microneedling. It's ultrasound. And it only goes down about 1.5 millimeter. For those of us who went to school in America, 1 millimeter is about the size of a dot of a pin. If you put a pin dot on a piece of paper, that's a millimeter. So 1.5 millimeters, that's not that deep. That's about the depth of where I microneedle. Why? Because that's the depth of collagen production. So think about it this way. Let me just go over here. Softwave, what it does is it helps to go down to the level of collagen production and then parallel to the skin. So very different than Morpheus8. Is everybody following me here? Morpheus8, when I talked about that years ago, and I'm still talking about that, is radiofrequency mixed with microneedling. So radiofrequency, the needles go down in Morpheus8 to a depth of around 2 millimeters, sometimes up to 3 millimeters, depending on where you're doing it on your body. But in Morpheus8, the needles go down and then radiofrequency shoots out, that heats up the dermis for collagen production. Okay, so you're getting a twofold with Morpheus8. That's older technology than Softwave, but I just want to go over it because it's still great technology. So we're looking at a combination of microneedling and radiofrequency. Now, can you do something like Morpheus8 at home? Absolutely, but not to the point that you can do it in office. But if you're doing it consistently, like I do, I microneedle every Sunday. Can you microneedle at a depth of 2.0 every 6 weeks? And then once your skin is healed, do things like radiofrequency at home, like the tripolar, or this is more of a different kind of device. There's a tripolar, there's the Magellan, there's different types of Lumo, there's different radiofrequency that we can do at home. So you can combine a microneedling like a Morpheus8 at a higher depth, so you'll need a numbing cream for that, with consistent radiofrequency. And if you do that consistently, I personally have found that I can achieve very similar results with the consistency of that. Now we're talking, so that's Morpheus8, right? That's microneedling, which you guys know. There's multiple tutorials that I have on microneedling on the Instagram club. By the way, for all of my subscribers on the Instagram club, that's that club that's $4.99 that gets you all of that exclusive content, all of the microneedling demos I do, all the radiofrequency demos I do, exclusive content. A new club chat just opened. You should have gotten a request. So join that club chat and you can ask me anything. I answer the questions within 24 hours. Okay, back to the Softwave. Somebody asked earlier, where can I find this? Google Softwave near me, and it's not with a T, Sofwave, Softwave near me. There's multiple places, so Dr. Mark Money's office in Beverly Hills, Contour Room in Los Angeles, Rejuva Medical Spa, Curated Beauty, Comprehensive Dermatology Center in Pasadena, Perk Plastic Surgery, Dr. Greg Mueller. This technology is available in multiple places. Just Google Softwave, Sofwave, near me, okay? But I want to show you what to expect. You numb for about an hour to an hour and a half. I always numb in office. Why? Because they have better stuff than what we can get at home. And these procedures they're not comfortable. Like, this can't be comfortable to go from this to this, right? Without being put under. But those are the real results. This is one of Nurse Karen's clients. All of these have been okayed to be shown. It's in the booklet from Softwave. This is one of Nurse Karen's clients. And you can see the lift that's involved. You can see the difference, right? In 1 or 2 treatments. That's 2 months after. Again, I just had this done yesterday. There's no downtime. It's not ablative. What that means is it's not affecting the epidermis, that outer layer of the skin at all. It's bypassing that and heating the dermis. That's the part where collagen, that's the location in the skin, the layer of the skin, where collagen is produced. So it's heating the dermis in ultrasound in a way that's parallel to the skin. Now, why is this important? Because there was a lot of people that had fat loss with Morpheus8. You can have fat loss with radio frequency because the radio frequency is going to go deep. It goes deep, and it's very interesting because fat cells are very fragile. I know for all of you out there that are like, are you kidding me? I can't get rid of these fat cells no matter how much money I pay or what I do. Fat cells are fragile, and they're fragile with heat and with cold. So when you are doing something like a radio frequency to your face, and you're leaving a radio frequency device on a little too long, which has happened, not to me, but has happened. I don't even know what I just did with that radio frequency device. But when you're leaving an at-home radio frequency device on the same spot for a very long time, do you run the risk of damaging the fat cell and then losing facial fat? Absolutely you do. I know the companies will say you don't have that risk, but there are people that misuse these at-home devices all the time. So with the Softwave, and again, I have no affiliation with this company at all. I'm just telling you guys what's the latest and greatest stuff out there, and if it can be replaced with at-home gadgets. For those of you who don't know me, who are just coming on, my name is Darnell Cox. I'm a almost 57-year-old healthy aging coach and gerontologist. I literally study the aging process. But because I am skincare obsessed, skin is our largest organ. You can tell a lot by somebody's health by their skin. I also work with the skin. So it's an inside out, outside in approach to healthy aging. Hi, Andrew. Andrew says, love your countertop and cabinetry. Thank you so much. Okay, let me see. Has anyone ever heard, this is also from Andrew. Has anyone here had any experience with Ultraformer, the next generation of Ultherapy? The next generation of Ultherapy. I have not, but there's a lot, Andrew, I have to say this. There is a lot of different things that people take, different plastic surgeons or med spas will take different modalities like ultrasound, like radio frequency, and call them something different. And I'm just going to give you an example. Morpheus8 is also called, oh my God, and now that one's by InMode, but it's also called, it's not Secrets RF. Maybe it is Secrets RF. It does the exact same thing. So it's like there's different modalities that do the same thing, and you get them in the office, and sometimes a company or a plastic surgeon or that med spa will change it and put their little twist on it. I've not heard of Ultraformer in terms of the next generation of Ultherapy, but I have heard of something called Tixel, which I am going to be doing next Friday live. I had another question. You see already a result. Would you recommend it? I'm going to tell you right now, I felt the result more than I saw it. Yeah, I saw it. And during the live show, you guys, she did do half of my face first, and then we looked at it. And my nasal labial fold on my worst side, which is the side that I sleep on, absolutely had improvement. Absolutely. And my eyebrow was much higher on the other side. So a lot of that, IAND, a lot of that is you're getting that immediate tightening of the collagen. So you're getting an immediate result, right? That usually goes away in a couple of weeks. And then in 4 weeks, around 4 to 6 weeks, you get the full result of that collagen stimulation. Because if you think about it, collagen is not like you're going to blast it with something and then it's going to instantly form. You got to think of it as Legos, right? So you blast it with something like an energy, whether it's ultrasound or radio frequency or whatever, and it dysregulates that kind of structure of the collagen. Then it takes time. This is why you can't just keep doing skincare treatments, you guys. You're going to ruin your skin. You're going to cause more damage than good. You have to be strategic in the timing, which is why I offer the free calendar here, of when you compound heat. So in other words, I wouldn't do a soft wave, which heats the dermis. You wouldn't do a soft wave and then go home and do a radiofrequency device. I wouldn't want to do a radiofrequency device that's going to dysregulate and just kind of, mess up those collagen structures that are being formed from this. So I'm not doing anything in terms of anything that's going to mess that up while my body is still healing. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Tixel. I have a bad story, first of all, Andrew, about Ultherapy. I actually burned a fat pad in my cheek, and it took a long time for me to get that back. Ultraformer is total magic. Mary, I'd love to hear more about it. I had a bad experience with Ultherapy, though, I have to say, and it's when they first came out. And this is a cautionary tale for all of you guys out here that are skincare obsessed like I am. This is a cautionary tale. Don't be the first one to raise your hand and pay your money and jump on a new technology that's being offered. The latest, greatest, oftentimes is the most detrimental because there's not as many case studies. There's not as many people that have tried it where you're going to get those negative effects that start happening. And I actually melted a fat pad with the old Ultherapy, Andrew. I really did. And I had to go in and get fat transferred back into this. It melted a fat pad. For those of you who don't know, who think that fat is like, oh my God, it's so stubborn, this stubborn fat. It is if you're eating the wrong shit. But let me just show you briefly how fat works and how easy it is to damage it, and especially with these devices. Let's pretend this is a fat cell, okay? What happens when you have extreme heat, either through radiofrequency, through Ultherapy, through ultrasound, however it is, it's heating the dermis. When you heat the dermis to the point where it's just, there's collagen production, but it's also heating the fat cell membrane, which is very fragile. I know it seems like it isn't, but it's very fragile. Once you damage this, even any part of a fat cell membrane over the next 3 to 6 weeks, this fat cell, the fat is going to empty its contents. The fat cell will die and shrink. That's why when you do these like cool sculpting or sculpture, those things that either freeze or heat up fat in with the goal to shrink the fat cell or to get rid of the fat, it's only damaging a small part of the membrane. That's why it takes 3 to 6 weeks for the rest of the fat to exit that cell and for that cell to die. You can do that with overly things that heat up the dermis too high. And that is something that when we get older, we do not want to lose the fat in our face. It's super important because that's youthfulness, right? Okay, let me keep going. I want to talk about, before I move on to Tixel, which we're going to do on Friday, I wanted to talk about just briefly, if I can find it, what this actually does. No, because we're going to do Tixel and we're going to do that. Okay, so this is, like I said, Softwave is using ultrasound. And it's ultrasound, but not in a deep level. So it's not heating the dermis deep like the Morpheus8 could go 3 millimeters deep. This is 1.5 millimeters deep and it's parallel to the skin, so there is 0 chance of fat loss. That's the important part. This is again Softwave. It's the next generation. It's cleared by the FDA for lifting the eyebrows, lax, sublingual tissue beneath the chin, neck tissue, reducing facial lines and wrinkles, improving the appearance of cellulite on the body, treating acne scars, and improving skin elasticity on the upper arms. It can be used all over the body, everywhere, okay? So everywhere that you have lax skin, you could do this. Now, it's not cheap. It's between $3,000 and $7,000 for a full face and neck. You do it twice a year. So if it's somebody that you're like, you know what, I'm never going to have a facelift, I just want to be rejuvenated a couple of times a year, and you've got that $3,000 to $7,000 to spend, then this is a really good option. Why? There's zero downtime. Zero. I literally left there and looked like this. You can put makeup straight up over the top of it. It's like no downtime. Why? Because it bypasses the epidermis and only heats that dermis at 1.5 millimeter deep and then parallel to the skin. So you feel your skin energized. It feels hot. The numbing cream helps, so it's not like it's unbearable. It feels warm. But there's no downtime. And I can tell you, I want to say hours afterwards, it felt like not deep heat, and it didn't feel like heat, but it felt like my skin was energized at like all over, like surface level all over. And it felt tight and it felt bouncy. Now, does it feel the same today as it did right after the treatment? No. Because that doesn't make sense. It's not like you're going to instantly grow collagen. It doesn't work like that. Gosh, I wish it did. Wouldn't that be fabulous? It doesn't work like that, though. You stimulate those collagen cells, you disrupt that kind of structure of the way that it's done, and then it takes time to rebuild that. Great, great treatment. Again, little pricey, but worth it. And it's great if you are somebody who's had a facelift, who's had a neck lift, and you want to do something that's like, I'm going to prolong my results. Softwave is a really good device for that. In addition, because it can be used for the whole body, great for people who have lost weight too quickly. All of my Ozempic and Wegovy friends out there, you know what I'm talking about. You do not want to have an arm lift that's going to give you a scar from here to your armpit, right? If you've lost weight too quickly on these weight loss shots, there's a window of time. Let me just stress this. When you've shrank your fat so much that you've got loose skin everywhere, you have a window of time in which to tighten that skin. So if you're one of those people, you're like, oh, wow, that weight's coming off really quickly. First of all, think of a different way to lose weight, right? You can always try the Ozempic weight loss bundle, but if you are somebody in metabolic distress and you are obese and your life is at danger, by God, get on the shots, okay? You gotta, pick your poison, get on the shots, get that weight down first, but you will notice that your skin will become very lax, and a lot of people lose volume in their face. This is one of these devices that can be used on the full entire body to tighten the skin. It's not just for tightening the skin, it's FDA cleared to lift, right? To lift the skin. So it's not just shrinky dinks. Remember shrinky dinks? It's not like a shrinky dink thing where you just heat it up and it's like, it lifts the skin. It's FDA cleared to lift the skin. So I'm really looking forward to seeing my full results, which will be in 4 to 6 weeks. And am I going to do it again? Yeah, because it's about 2 treatments per year. That's what they recommend. 2 treatments per year. That's what they recommend. That's what I'm going to do. And normally, you guys know, I do all my stuff at home. Look, I got a whole thing of stuff that I do at home and a schedule that keeps me on it. But once or twice a year, usually around my birthday, I will pick something, whatever is the latest, greatest, newest thing coming out, and that's what I will treat myself for my birthday. So everything else is done at home, and then I've got these big treats that I do once a year. So this year I did Softwave. I'm doing one more thing for my eyes because I have been suffering from dry eyes for a while. And I feel like I didn't know if it was allergies. I'm not really sure what was going on, but I've been suffering from some dry eyes, and I've never had an upper and lower bleph, and I asked my doctor about it for the first time yesterday, and that to me is a sign. I'm like, do I need an upper or lower bleph? Not need, want. Not need. Nobody needs any of this shit, right? We're all going to be old, wrinkly old women one day, and we're going to be happy that we're alive. Hattie Piper says, certain areas in my arms when I did Softwave was very uncomfortable, but only in the certain areas, and just when I thought I couldn't take it, it stopped and cooled quickly. Yeah, it's kind of like you get this heat, just raising, and then there's like this ouch part, and then it's down. That's the numbing. Make sure that you're numbing for at least an hour, and don't numb at home. Sit there in the waiting room if you need to, because they have better shit to numb you. But it's true. And Brian Johnson, I think that's what his name is, the guy who's the billionaire who's like doing all this stuff to his whole body, did this without any numbing cream, and that was very painful for him, from what I've heard. But you get through it, right? You get through it. Okay, let me keep going down. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. So HIFU is sort of the same, isn't it? Results are almost the same. HIFU, I'd have to look and see what modality that is. Morpheus8 is different. So somebody just said, Ebengal50 just said, is Morpheus8 better? It's very, very different. Oh my God, my hair. Because Morpheus8 is radiofrequency and microneedling. So it's physical perforations with Morpheus8, and then radiofrequency that shoots out at that level of the perforation, right? Very, very different. You could hit the same area where you've got fat, and that's why Morpheus8 runs a risk. You know, you need a very skilled technician. Sometimes people want to melt fat, but you need to have a very skilled technician to know what they're doing so that you're not melting your fat pads in your cheeks. It's not that it's better. Morpheus8 is not better. It's different. It goes deeper, and is more for skin tightening and for fat loss if you want. Softwave is shallow and goes parallel to the skin. It's only hitting the level of the level of the skin in the epidermis where collagen is produced, and that's why you do not run the risk of fat loss with Softwave. You just have skin lifting and tightening. I love it. I love it. Makes sense? Okay. And then Morpheus8, I don't know the price of Morpheus8, but I think it's around the same. This is $3,000 to $7,000 per face. It really depends, you guys, on, this is when I say zip code matters, because what you spend, what your doctor spends or the med spa spends in a lease reflects in their prices of their treatments, right? So it's just, that's just the way it is. So you're gonna spend a different amount of price in Nebraska on this than you are in Beverly Hills or in Los Angeles. Okay, that's just the way that it is. I don't know the price of Morpheus8, but I think it's comparable. I think it's about that same price for face and neck. I don't know the body part prices of this, but for face and neck, it ranges between $3,000 to $7,000, okay? Twice a year. If you're somebody that you're like, there's no way that is going to take the place of a facelift, you're right. It won't. Nothing out there is ever going to take the place of surgery. But can you improve your surgical results? Yeah. Can you still get a vast improvement in the function and the look of your skin without surgery? Absolutely you can. It's just based on what your goals are, right? What are your goals and what are you willing to do? Okay, no, Morpheus8 is not better. Agreed. Agreed. I didn't want to just say that, but yeah, Morpheus8 is not better. This is the latest, greatest, less risk, all skin types can do this. and all body parts. So amazing, amazing. Indy said in my area, the office procedure called M-Face is offered. M-Face, is that like M-Sculpt? Let me know. It's also lifting, anti-wrinkle, waste of money or worth it. It depends. And that's why I wanted to talk to you guys about this. There are going to be lots of, if it's like M-Sculpt, then what it is it's like electromagnetic stimulation, electric muscle stimulation. That's what I'm thinking that you're talking about, M-Face. So you want to think about that. If you've got Botox, you're wasting your Botox when you're doing something that stimulates muscle, right? Because Botox relaxes that muscle. So it just depends. Look into, here's my thought. If you don't know what modality an in-office procedure is it using just heat? Is it using, radio frequency? Is it using infrared or LED? Is it using microcurrent? Is it using, microneedles, like the actual physical microneedles? Find out the modality of what it is doing, and then we can talk about what it is that if it's going to be worth it or not. Like, I wouldn't pay for M-Face. If it's what I think it is, I'd have to look it up. If it's what I think it is, I wouldn't do it. If it's what I think it is, I wouldn't do it. That's why RF is at home is okay, right? And it's not as strong in doing it. That's right, chasing _sunrises. RF at home is not going to get as hot as RF in a clinic. It's just not. They have those cooling devices. They have all of that other stuff. So it really heats the dermis really, really hot. These devices heat the dermis between, oh my gosh, I want to say 40 to 42 degrees Celsius, but you're constantly moving it. You just don't have the same, it's just not the same risk, okay? It's not the same risk. But that said, it is still heat delivered to the dermis to stimulate collagen. So you wouldn't want to compound a heat device with another heat device. Does that make sense, everybody? You want to let your skin heal before you hit it with something else. That's why I have that calendar in the first place for at-home stuff, because you can do more harm than good doing this shit at home because you don't have the skill set to do it, and you think oh, this doesn't hurt that bad. I can sit here and watch TV and just do this all day. No. Read the instructions. Follow the instructions, you guys. Follow the instructions. That was a great question, though, chasing sunrise. Let me see if I can find anything else up here. That's the price of a facelift in Germany. Yeah, so that's why you have to think about that. Why would somebody do this if, let's say you do your full neck and chest and $7,000 each time, and you're going to do it twice. That's $14,000. And you know that you want to have a facelift. Don't spend your money on this then. Right? You have to think about that. But why do people do this? Because they don't want the downtime. They don't want people to know that they had anything done. They don't want to go under anesthesia. There's risk to that. There's risk of bad facelifts. I see them all the time. There's risks of scarring. I see it all the time. There's not with this. So there's reasons why it's everybody is different. Nobody's telling you what to do. You are in control of your own aging. And I don't mean comparing yourself to the 30-year-olds or 20-year-olds on YouTube or Instagram or anything like that. I don't mean that. I mean for you. You know if your skin is its healthiest, right? Does it look dull? Does it look healthy? Are you doing something with retinoids or vitamin C or red light therapy or little things at home? Are you just throwing in the towel and using a bar of soap? Right? That's all up to you guys to decide. I'm here just to guide you and show you what's out there and what's not, okay? Okay. If you guys asked a question and it's really pressing, I'm going to scroll up. My friend did a whole facelift in Korea. Wow. Korea, the South Koreans, my God, they're way ahead of the time. Okay, I want to talk to you about what I'm doing next week. So next week, I'm doing something called Tixel. And Tixel, different. It's a non-invasive skin rejuvenation treatment. It uses a heated titanium tip. So it's not like this where it's bypassing the epidermis. It's heating the area. It's great for dry eyes. Sarah says it irritates me how the bar of soap people usually have the nicest skin. That's kind of, like I said, you can do more harm than good. And some of these things, even the at-home devices, you can do more harm than good. People always ask me if I could pick one device that I would do at home, what would it be? It would be red light therapy, because there's so much research about red light therapy. It's really difficult to overdo red light therapy, although you will get itchy. You could break out in a rash if you're just one of those people that you just I'm sitting here watching TV. This is fine. I'm just going to keep pressing the button and keep pressing the button and keep pressing the button and keep pressing the button. And you know what? Pretty soon, you're going to end up with very irritated skin. So even on something like this, this is the Magellan. This is a laser and LED mask. Laser and LED mask, very different than just an LED mask. But you can overdo anything. Now let me tell you a little bit about Tixel, because my eyes, around my eye area right now is showing a little bit more age than what it had been showing. And I don't know if that's because I'm losing a little bit of fat here, which you can kind of see. I've lost a little bit of weight recently because I'm in the middle of a family crisis. And sometimes that's difficult to eat, right? When you're like stressed, sometimes it's difficult to eat. So I'm putting in all of my healthy aging tips and tricks and utilizing all of those and really walking my talk to get to that point. But I do notice I'm losing a little bit of fat pads on my eyes. So on Friday live, you guys, you guys know my live shows are normally on Saturdays at 12. But on Friday at 12, this Friday at 12, I'm doing what they call Tixel. And it's non-invasive, and what it does is it creates a heated titanium tip, and it creates tiny channels in the skin. It stimulates collagen production and improves skin texture, wrinkles, and other concerns with very minimal downtime. So again, minimal downtime. This was no downtime. Softwave was zero downtime. I walked out of there and I was like, I could go to dinner tonight. I feel fantastic. And my skin felt fantastic. It felt bouncy and like tight. So it all felt good. This Tixel is minimal downtime. So I could have like a little redness in the area, but nothing that is too bad. It's a skin resurfacing device, and it delivers energy to the skin surface. And let me just tell you how it works. The device features a small metal plate, and we're going to talk about this on Friday live. And it heats to 400 degrees Celsius. So there's a cooling wand. So think about that. 400 degrees Celsius. That's hot. The cones are pressed into the skin, creating tiny channels, and it triggers a healing response, which leads to increased collagen production and skin improvement. So it improves skin tone and texture. We're talking about Tixel here. And this is only in office. It improves skin tone and textures. It tightens the skin, minimal downtime. It's versatile, so it can be used on various areas of the face, including around the eye, on the eyelid, which is where I'm going to do it, and around the mouth. So anytime you've got like the little vertical lines on the mouth, do you ever have fear? For craft's sake says, do you ever have fear doing various treatments on your face? Yes. I do. That's why you'll never see me again be the first one to try something. Hi, I am Nurse Karen, just joined, and she's the one. Nurse Karen, we just got done talking about the whole thing that we did yesterday. If you guys missed that show that I did with I am Nurse Karen, who's just on here, follow her, by the way. She's fantastic. Talk about snatch. She is like tight. But follow her and we'll figure it out. But I just got a question from Creative Eye Candy. Tixel, how much money? It's $350 per session for the eyes. Again, it varies based on the technician and based on the zip code. And it's about $600 to $1,500 for the full face and neck. And that's can treat fine lines and wrinkles, acne scars, uneven skin tone, age spots and freckles, sun damage, skin laxity, and yes, dry eyes. So that's what we are doing on Friday with I Am Nurse Karen. But what we're also doing is we're adding exosomes. Okay, so we're doing both of those treatments. We're going to do the Tixel, which is going to create those channels, and then Nurse Karen is going to put exosomes right on top of that. And it's a groundbreaking new approach to understanding skin. So Tixel is the cutting edge device that uses that thermomechanical action to deliver that controlled heat, and then we put in the exosomes. And let me tell you about the power of exosomes. Those are like those nano-sized vehicles. They play a crucial role in cell communication with each other. They're rich in growth factors, in proteins, and in genetic materials which can promote tissue repair and regeneration. So when you apply this to the skin after you've created the channels from the Tixel, it literally significantly enhances the body's natural healing process. So it leads to improved skin tone, texture, and just overall brightening of the skin. That's the power of exosomes. So the synergy of the Tixel and the exosome therapy, that is like next level, right? There was a question that just came in. Do you have a treatment in the States called Bright Eyes where vitamin C is injected around the eye area? Nurse Karen, if you're still on here, I've never heard of vitamin C injected in the eye area. Never heard of that. That's very interesting, though. That's very interesting. Nurse Karen, if you're on here, if you've heard of that, please let us know. Brian Johnson, that's the multi-millionaire biohacker, who has described Tixel and exosome therapy as the ultimate rejuvenation procedure. So I don't know if you guys have seen him. He's like the gazillionaire who spends a ton of money just trying to not die. And listen, I get it. We're all gonna die. My goal is to look and feel and function my best for as long as I'm on this planet, and to stay on the planet as long as possible, so that I am, my body is functioning like it did. I'm able to do everything that I want to do. And my skin is in the best condition it can be for itself at that age. So I'm not throwing in the towel for everything. Not throwing in the towel to stop working out. I'm not sitting down on the couch eating a bag of Doritos and binge watching something while I'm with a quart of ice cream, right? Don't do the same thing for your skin. You don't just throw in the towel for your skin. Strategic stuff. You mean he wants to die looking good? Ha, exactly. That's what'll happen. Anyways, I don't want to get on that. But anyways, according to him, this is the new latest greatest thing, is when you mix, Brian Johnson, the multi-billionaire, when you mix the Tixel and exosome therapy together, which is what I'm doing Friday live with Nurse Karen at Dr. Mark Money's office at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time or Central Time. That's what's happening. Okay, we're moving on. Next greatest thing that's coming out, or that there's a lot of stuff on, is called Lutronic Ultra. And this is a non-ablative fractional laser treatment. Now, in the old days, fractional laser, I love them because it's like a laser that, just like a microneedling stamps these channels with laser into your skin. So it's creating those microtraumas. If you've ever done a fractal laser, you'll see like a little grid mark the size of like the thing, but it's like, it's like as if you're microneedling stamp, but you're doing it with laser. That is a fractal laser, right? So this is another version of that, a non-ablative fractal laser, but it's less intense So it's not ablative Fraxel, which leaves the little grid marks. This is non-ablative, so it bypasses the epidermal and leaves those little grid marks in the dermis where collagen is produced. So it creates these tiny thermal zones in the skin, promoting the body to quickly generate new tissue. It increases permeability with minimal mechanical disruptions to the stratum corneum. I never do these things where you create the channels and then you put something, an active ingredient in there. No. Creating the channels and putting exosomes, yes. Good. Yeah. Creating the channels and just letting the body heal itself. Yeah, I really like that. But to add stuff, you know, an active ingredient like a retinoid or vitamin C when you're creating a channel, that just, I think, adds to the recovery time. You're going to have a longer recovery time and more susceptibility to irritation and something going wrong. Okay. But this Lutronic Ultra, it harnesses 20 watts of power to ensure the fastest, most consistent results possible. And it treats mild to moderate cases of pigment lesions, of freckles across the face, neck, and décolletage. Yeah, it does. It treats areas for redness. It's just, yeah, it does a lot of different stuff, much like a Fraxel laser, but it's non-ablative. Okay, so that's like the latest thing. This is kind of what it looks like when that energy gets put into the cell. So that's pretty much how it works. It's a superior solution. This is what it says. This is what they say. How it works. It's a superior solution to maintaining skin, equipped with 200 beam diameter, Ultra's magnetic roller tracking system can complete a full face treatment in only 6 to 8 minutes. So if you're wanting like a lunchtime kind of thing, this could work for you. It's a non-ablative fractional laser, so it is creating those channels, but it's not ablating the upper layer of the skin, meaning very little downtime, right? So here's a picture of somebody before and after. So you can see the darkness, the pigmentation, all of that kind of stuff. And then this is the after. So does it work? Oh, most of the stuff works, right? It's just a matter of, do you want to spend the time to do it and the money to do it? The best in terms of like not the best, but the strongest laser for skin resurfacing is the CO2. That hasn't changed in a long time. That's the gold standard for skin resurfacing, right? So how does it work? CO2 lasers target both the superficial, so right on the surface, but also super deep layers of the skin. It removes damaged skin cells and pigmentation. Literally, it just burns them all off. This is the CO2 laser that I'm talking about. The recovery time can be longer than other lasers because it is ablative. It stimulates the skin to produce new collagen and skin structures. It's used for deep wrinkles, severe sun damage, significant scarring, sagging skin, and removing precancerous cells. That's the CO2 laser, right? There's other lasers that are a little bit less intense, like the erbium lasers. They're a little bit less intense than the CO2 lasers. Oh, the one before that is called the Lutronic Ultra. The Lutronic Ultra is a fractional laser. See if I can get it. The Lutronic Ultra is a fractional laser that's non-ablative. Okay, non-ablative. Now we're on to the CO2. What I did before was a Softwave, which was also non-ablative, but uses ultrasound. Very different. Then the Lutronic Ultra is non-ablative, but it uses Fraxel laser. The Tixel, which we're going to do on Friday live, is a skin resurfacing that uses a thermomechanical action, so it's heat. And then we're going to use exosomes with that, okay? So these are all the things that are like what's available out there. Doesn't mean you have to do them. Ultrasound generates scarring tissue. Ultrasound, that's an interesting question, scarring tissue. Ultrasound, this is only going 1.5 millimeters deep. It's literally heating the dermis. It's heating the dermis, and Karen can attest to this. I think the dermis normally gets heated with an at-home RF device at 40 to 42 degrees Celsius. And if I'm not mistaken, the Softwave with under like a 1.5 millimeter, we're not looking very deep, heats this to over, gosh, I want to say, Karen, you'll have to tell me, and I can put it in the caption as well. Way hotter than what this can do. Okay, way hotter, but more controlled as well, because it's not, the energy heat is not going deep. That's going to hit the fat tissue. It's dispersing parallel to the skin. So amazing collagen stimulation with this one. Okay, amazing. And in addition, plastic surgeons who do facelifts, they don't mind this type of situation, right? Where you're only going 1.5 millimeters deep and you're stimulating all of that collagen. It's when you're doing intense radio frequency, not this, but an in-office radio frequency where you're disrupting that collagen deep. That's hard to get when you're talking about the planes of the face with a TCF lift, if that makes any sense. There's also lesser CO2 lasers, so you don't have to look like the Walking Dead for like a week, because the downtime for a CO2 laser is pretty intense. You can do an erbium laser that's less intense, and it's used for moderate wrinkles and fine lines. IPL targets melanin and dark spots, also known as a laser photo rejuvenation. And you guys, I do this stuff at home. So would I pay again to go and do an IPL or a DPL, a dual pulse laser in an office? Only if I can't reach my back. Because you can do these at home now. So you can, when I get done with this live show, you guys can just comment the word sunspots, and it will give you these by Jove's that are the DPL that will literally have lifted sunspots off of my arms, right? M. Looney said, I use the Lumo. Do you still believe it's a good radio frequency treatment yielding good results? I use it all the time. I use it way more than I do this, the tripolar. But the reason why I don't plug it so much right now is because the company was bought out by another company, and I have no idea how their customer service is. But the device, if you have it, that's a great radio frequency device for sure. Now, when I'm using radio frequency at home, I'm staying away from my fat pads. Even though they say it's safe, I am protecting my fat pads at all costs. So no radio frequency goes here. So when I'm using radio frequency at home, I'm underneath this fat pad, right? I'm here, I'm chiseling out the chin. I'm chiseling this part out, but I'm staying away from any part where you lose fat when you age, when you're using radio frequency. That's why something like a Softwave is so much safer. And I'm finding in terms of like in office, I'm very impressed with just how it felt. So I can't wait to see. But in terms of like IPL, intense pulse laser, when we're talking about refreshing the whole skin, you can do that stuff at home now, you guys. Just DM me, or when I finish this, you just comment the word sunspots, not here, but comment the word sunspots and it will get you here. You can also go to liveyounglifestyle.com and toggle over. You'll get all the free protocols in the menu drop-down bar. You'll get this calendar for free. We've got a retinoid guidebook for free. I have my all-time favorite products for free. Not for free. You don't get the products for free, but you get the guidebook for free and all the codes and all of that kind of crap. So that's one of the things that like IPL, I used to go in yearly and get that done because I'm a farm girl and I grew up, outside without sunscreen until I got smart. And so I've been fighting sunspots basically since I was in my 20s, and I don't do those in office now. I don't do microneedling in office anymore. I do that at home. You guys know that when you see me do that live. In fact, there are some still on my main feed. I usually put my microneedling demos that I do at home on my subscription club because I don't want them taken down. If my face starts bleeding while I'm doing it, which it oftentimes does, that can get taken down off of Instagram. So that goes in my subscription club. That's that $4.99 club. It has all of those tutorials on every device that I use at home. It has all of those tutorials that are already sitting there for $4.99 a month. You learn how to do them and then unsubscribe. I don't care. I'm just here to teach people. Okay, so you know what, so you kind of get an idea. Okay, lasers versus LEDs. This is a good one. And Lisa just said, what about melasma treatment? Lisa, I did a whole live show on melasma, on skin discoloration and melasma. Let me see if I can try to put that in the story today with a link. It's in there. It's in there. I did a whole thing on that. You want to stay away from near infrared or anything that heats up if you have melasma. So that's a great question. Some of the skincare devices at home, if you are somebody that struggles with melasma, now remember, melasma is not caused by heat. It is a genetic condition that is made worse by fluctuations of hormones and made worse by heat. So if you are somebody who's pregnant and you've got that pregnancy mask, or if you're somebody who is perimenopausal or menopausal, at almost 57, I'm postmenopausal, but when you have those fluctuations in hormones or you're on birth control, you'll get that melasma. It can be made worse by UV rays, so by the sun, and also by heat. So you have to be very, very careful when you're using things like red light therapy masks or radiofrequency or things like that have a heat component, that they don't exacerbate your melasma. Now, it's going to bring me to this last little bit, which is laser masks versus LED masks. Now, in terms of microcurrent, before I get on that, microcurrent is something I don't do in office anymore either. If you're going to have a microcurrent facial, yeah, it's going to feel great. You can do that same shit at home. Again, you can get this device. This is the MyoLift Mini. This is the same kind of device that is used in office. You can, let me see how you can do this. You can go on Darnell's favorites on liveyounglifestyle.com. You can also comment the word microcurrent, I believe, after I finish this whole thing. You can comment the word red light and it'll get you my top, then check your DMs, it'll get you my top red light products. You can comment sunspots and it will get you my top treatments for that, which involve retinoids, which involve staying out of the sun, which involves things like IPLs and DPLs that you can do at home, and a lot of other treatments like that. But in terms of red light versus laser, it's just about the wavelength, really, okay? So red light therapy, it's light emitting diode. So it's just a light that is a certain wavelength that hits the cell at your skin at a different part of that wavelength. So when you're looking at like acne, you want something that just hits the surface. You're looking at like a 415 nanometer wavelength. So just very shallow, right? But when you're looking at collagen production, you're looking at red and near infrared, you're looking at around 633 all the way up to about 800 is a really good depth for collagen production and wrinkles and fine lines and discoloration of your skin. That's a really good depth. Red is 630 to 680 nanometers. That's the most tested, and near infrared is 800 to 880. That's the most tested in terms of that. But if you're somebody who suffers from melasma, you really want to test that out, because if it starts heating up, if you start getting into those wavelengths where you're getting heat, you could actually potentially make your melasma worse. And this goes back to this one point. When you're doing at-home skincare devices, always, always test them out on a certain spot first. So that, especially if you have melasma, like for example, This Jove's Black and DPL Pro. I can use this on my sunspots and they go away perfectly. When I went in office and did a PicoSure, which is a next generation of IPL. So imagine this in an office, in a bigger head, a bigger machine in an office. And then the latest version of that made all my sunspots worse. Worse. So bigger energy is not necessarily better. Our skin reacts, my skin's gonna react different than yours. If you have melasma and I have melasma, I might be able to use a laser mask and my melasma is gonna be fine, and you might use it and all of a sudden you notice your melasma is coming back. You gotta really be on top of it, and you have to be careful, because even though all of the at-home devices are safe, they can always be misused, and everybody's skin is different. Does that make sense? Okay, so when we're talking about laser, so Omnilux, my mask is downstairs, I just didn't grab it. This is the Omnilux, this is the neck and décolletage. Again, you can always comment red light and I'll get you all of them. And I just want to remind you guys too, I teach all of this stuff in the retreat. The retreat is May 1st through May 4th in Malibu Canyons. And I mean, I can't even begin to tell you. If you think you've learned a lot in this hour, imagine 4 days, right? Because we're going to talk about all of it. I'm going to be leading the workouts. We're going to be doing cold plunges. I'm going to be talking about red light therapy. Everybody's going to get a red light therapy mask. You heard me right. Everybody's going to be getting a red light therapy mask. You're all going to be getting skincare for that weekend. All of it is all included for free. When I get done with this, if you're interested in that, you just comment, not here, but on my main feed when I post this retreat, right? It's $500 off right now. And we are getting sponsors all over the place. If we have somebody, I saw somebody on here from the Softwave company, you want to bring this device and do this at the retreat for us, please. We would love for you to do that, okay? When I say we're getting sponsors and we're getting gift bags, it's not gift bags, it's toolkits. You're gonna get more in stuff at the Live Young Healthy Aging Retreat than you will have paid for your bed at the retreat itself. Okay, so just make sure, don't miss out on that. It's coming up. When I get done with this, you can post that, you can just comment the word retreat. So far you can comment sunspots, you can comment live, if you want to see the live show I did yesterday with Nurse Karen, comment the word live and it'll give you a link to yesterday's live. You can comment, like I said, sunspots, you can comment red light and it'll get you all my top red light therapy. You can comment microcurrent and it'll get you that. Okay, LED lights, how do they work? It's just about the wavelength, right? So it promotes cellular repair, improves circulation, reduces inflammation. There's a lot of good things about them, and I've been using them for so long. I don't even know when if somebody Googled, like, when did Omnilux, or when was the first red light therapy mask that hit the US market? I probably had it. I probably had it. Okay. But laser masks are very different. So laser masks are more intense and they're more targeted. So you can get a stronger effect when you're using a laser mask. Again, this is the Magellan. This is one of my favorites. These are my two favorite laser masks. This is the Magellan, and this combines laser with LED. This is the Jove's. This is a laser mask. It's supposed to be all laser, but it still combines LED. I just looked at all the wavelengths, right? So it's true. So when you're looking at the Jove's 4D, the wavelength, look, it starts with an 850, but it's a 660 nanometer wavelength. That's red. It's an 850 nanometer wavelength. That's near infrared. It's 940 nanometer wavelength, and then it's 1064. So it's a combination of an LED and a laser mask. Is this more intense than the Omnilux? Absolutely it is. The same thing with the Magellan. I love this mask. It has the neck attachment as well, so does the Jove's. You can get either one of these at a discount. All you have to do is, when I post this to my main feed, comment red light, and you can make the decision yourself. But it's comparable in terms of what they're talking about for the wavelength. So if I look, let me see if I can find this real quick. The Magellan 2.0 laser LED, let me tell you what this one is. This one gives you 595. So it has an amber. So it has a multiple color for this one. This one does not, but this has multiple colors. So it has amber, which helps to brighten the skin and reduce redness. So if you're somebody that suffers from rosacea, the Magellan is going to be a little bit better choice for you than the Joves, because it does have the amber for that. It has 630, which is red. That boosts circulation, collagen production, all that stuff. 660, it's a little deeper red. So it has two different wavelengths for the red. One is 630 and one is 660. And then it also has the same 830 is an infrared, and it has the 1064, which is deep infrared. Very, very similar in terms of the deep, oh my God, the Velcro stuck to me. In terms of these masks being comparable. So should you go into an office and do red light therapy treatment? No. First of all, most of the time when they do that, they're using something like they'll do a facial on you, and then they'll put like that dome on you. I have that downstairs. The one I have is by Swyrise. It's also going to be in that list when you comment the word red light and you want my top choices. It'll also be in there. But the amount of time that you're traveling to the place, you're going to spend the money on the treatment, you're going to sit there for the red light, and then that's it, when you can do it every single day at home. I'm going to turn you guys around just so you can see. These are my red light panels that I have. I wouldn't pay to go and get this done someplace else. There's affordable ones that you can get. You don't have to get 3 like me. You don't have to like bathe yourself in it, like I do. But there's comparable ones that you can get. They have mats that you can lay down on the ground. There's multiple different things. If anybody is going into a med spa and paying for a red light therapy treatment, by the time you did like 5 or 6 of those, you'd own a device yourself. So that's not something that I would say go and do in office, right? But when you're talking about strategically stimulating collagen, in a way that's safe and is going to give you a way more powerful result than you can ever get from stimulating collagen at home, those are things that I'd like to add in once or twice a year. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay, did I get through all of the stuff? I think so. So we talked about Softwave. We talked about LED versus laser at home. We talked about CO2 lasers and erbium lasers and IPLs, right? We talked about what I'm doing this Friday, which is the Tixel and exosomes. That's what I'm doing Friday at 12 o'clock, live, back in Dr. Mark Monty's office with Nurse Karen. I cannot wait. So that's Tixel. And then we talked about the Lutronic Ultra. So that's the latest and greatest stuff that's coming up, or that's in your med spa and your doctor's offices right now. You guys know what I do at home in terms of like microneedling and all of that stuff. So when we get off of here Saturday, I hope you guys have a great rest of your Saturday. And listen, I know you guys have a lot of choices on where to be on a Saturday. I appreciate the fact that you're here learning. I did just tickle. Oh, you did Tixel yesterday. I'd love to know. I'm doing it on Friday. With exosomes live. So if you guys are interested in seeing, I like to do live shows like that, because if I were just to take that information and turn it into a Reels, you probably wouldn't get the sense of like, okay, how long does the procedure take? What is it? How does it hurt? Because you can fake it, right? You can be like, oh no, this doesn't hurt. And then in your mind, you're like, oh my God, I'm dying. So I like to do those live and give you guys like a real idea of what the cost is, what the procedure is, what the downtime is, all of that kind of stuff. So Creative Eye Candy, How exciting. Can't wait to see the results. Me too. Me too. Although I can already tell, I'm telling you, I'm a little bouncier today. It was oh, Lisa says it was a little spicy. That's a really good way to I guess, describe pain. It was a little spicy. Okay, you guys have a great rest of your day. Remember, don't miss the retreat. Okay? I don't know if I'll do another one, but you're going to be exposed to, not exposed, you're going to be doing I'm bringing everything with me. All right? And you're going to get a toolbox full of your own stuff. Especially, and guaranteed, everybody gets a red light therapy mask that comes through the retreat. So share this with other people. When I post this to my main feed, you've got some keywords that you know that you can hit on. You can say live. You'll get to yesterday's live show where I did the Softwave. I'm super impressed by the technology of this, and the experience of it was great. Nurse Karen is great. But you'll get that live show. You can just comment the word red. You'll get all the different red light masks or panels that I approve of that are in the right spectrum, because not all red light therapy is made the same. They're not all created equal. There's some real crap out there, you guys. You can even comment the word, I think you can comment radio frequency, and you'll get my top radio frequency devices. And I know if you comment sunspots, you'll get those sunspot devices, and you can even comment cellulite, and it'll give you all of my tried and true, treatments for cellulite. Although cellulite is normal, we can diminish its appearance. Okay, I'm off now, you guys. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys for sure Friday live at 12. Okay.